This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 40-inch.
On this week's episode, we premiere our interview with Jonah Ray, recorded in front of a live audience on Saturday, January 25th at Proctors in Schenectady, New York.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Can you believe it's been almost 2 weeks since we've done that fun UHF screening with Jonah Ray?
I can't. I mean, it feels like yesterday. It was so much fun getting to do the event. And, honestly, Dave, getting to relive the event with you on last week's episode was so much fun. And so many people have reached out to us saying how bummed they couldn't be there.
Yeah, I know. People are asking me, when are you going to play the episode with Jonah Ray? I'm happy to say that we're going to play it soon, eventually, maybe in a couple weeks.
Or maybe today. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, if you want to hear it so bad, why weren't you there, huh? Huh?
Exactly. I was there.
Yeah. I was there. I recorded it. I can listen to it whenever I want.
You know what? Who else was there? The great vegan Mexican restaurant, Burrito. I am missing those great vegan burritos.
They are so good. And I live so much closer than you, Dave. And I got to make time in my schedule to get out there.
There is one thing that I am not missing, though. I am not missing those vegan Twinkie wiener sandwiches.
I loved them. I honestly actually really liked them. I thought they were great. And they were exactly what I expected. An improved version of a Twinkie wiener sandwich.
I will say, out of the 2 Twinkie wiener sandwiches that I have tried in my lifetime, that was the best of them.
One that you got from a 24-hour gas station in New Jersey at midnight, and one you got from the divinely talented, tasty Burrito at our live event where we watched UHF and talked to Jonah Ray.
Yeah, I can't imagine why I like that one better.
Yeah, I can't either. We were talking about, obviously a lot of the prep that went into it last week, and we were talking about some of the new people we met, and I was really excited I actually had met him before, but both of us together got to meet him finally. Our new friend in the podcast sponsorship family, Don Ferlazzo.
Oh, yeah, it's so exciting to have Don Ferlazzo aboard on our sponsorship family.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you in part by Don Ferlazzo Allstate Agency in Clifton Park, New York. If you drive like crazy, Don Ferlazzo and his team can help you with crazy good auto insurance. If you're about to buy you a condo, they can help you insure that too. Plus, the Ferlazzo Agency can protect all your favorite stuff, like your coveted Velvet Elvis, or even your 2000-inch TV.
You may think your insurance is good enough for now, but don't wait one more minute. Find the Ferlazzo Allstate on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call 518-278-3543 for a free quote today. The Ferlazzo Agency. We sell insurance, and that's all.
And you, too, can sponsor the podcast by heading over to patreon.com/2000inch. Maybe you have an Al-related project, a comedy event, blog, or a social media account that our listeners would love. Or maybe you want to get more people to visit your Etsy page, or you're listing Weird Al collections on eBay, whatever. We can help you reach the biggest and best Weird Al fans in the entire world.
Or maybe you just want to support the podcast and maybe have us say your name every single week. And maybe you want us to come up with silly commercials for fake but totally great businesses that you own. Plus, you don't need to wait until the beginning of the month to sponsor. Each monthly sponsorship lasts for an entire month, regardless of when you sign up. Head on over to patreon.com/2000inch to sign up. It's a lot of fun, just like a burrito.
Oh, I thought you were going to go into a burrito ad there.
No, I just think burritos are fun.
Well, yeah, I guess they are. Anyway, we got some Weird Al news this week, Dave.
Yes, on Saturday, February 1st, Al made a surprise appearance on Darren Chris's show at the Bourbon Room in Hollywood, singing the classic ballad, All-Star by Smash Mouth.
And thanks to Oh, what's his name? Who sent that link to us, Dave? I can't remember.
And if you missed it, if you did not see it, if you were not there, you can check out the performance. It's posted over on our Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast Facebook group.
And on Monday night, on February 3rd, Al was part of an event at Largo in LA that was both a benefit for the Diabetes Center at the Children's Hospital LA and a launch for a new Audible audiobook called Cut and Run. In addition to Al, the event featured Busy Phillips, Baron Vaughn, Darcy Carden, Tom Lennon, Eugene Cordero, Ed Begley Jr., Carlos Alazraqui, and Oscar Montoya, and there were other surprises, I'm sure. Oh man, I wonder what Al did.
Hey, Ethan, look, my spatula phone is blinking. I hope this message is from someone who was at the event who can tell us more.
Hey guys, it's UH Jeff. I was at the event and I can tell you more. It was me and Scott Sorensen and Vicky Rhymes with Cheese DeVries. We all went out to see Al in all his glory. It was like an improv show, and the host, Ben Blacker, asked for audience suggestions of a word before introducing his first guest. The word, Frisbee. The guest, Weird Al. The audience erupted. People were cheering. Some people were sobbing. It was great. So Ben interviewed Al for a little bit. He talked about Frisbees. He talked about Seth Meyers' dog named Frisbee, as well as playing Frisbee. The host also asked Al a little bit about his Wikipedia page, talked about shaving his mustache for the Ricky video. They talked about Al choosing his major at Cal Poly and how it was listed first in the school catalog. All the good stuff. And then the improv actors did some sketches around that conversation, sort of loosely based on that conversation. Instead of architecture, one of the actors majored in aardvark, majored as an aardvark. I'm not really sure. It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but at the time it was funny. Like most improv, you kind of had to be there. But, you know, there was a short 5-minute interview with Al, and then he was off stage for the rest of the night until Al quickly peered out at the curtain call. The final goodbyes, Al popped out and kind of waved. And that was pretty much it. It was a lot of fun. Wish you could have been there. And that's all I got. Bye, goodbye.
Thanks, UH Jeff. We're so glad that you were there to get us the inside scoop.
Okay, Ethan, I think I know what it's finally time for.
The Burrito ad!
No, not yet. Our interview with Jonah Ray, recorded in front of a live audience on Saturday, January 25th at Proctors in Schenectady, New York.
How's it going, guys? Thank you so much for coming out. I'm Ethan, and this is Dave. We wanted to sit in order so you guys wouldn't get confused. Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. So we did this for you guys.
I'm the one with the longer beard.
I'm working on it. It's been a couple years. I'm working on it. So if you guys are not aware, we host Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. We launched it last May, and I want to tell you a little bit about Dave. Well, Dave, why don't you tell them about me, since you're Dave's very famous in the Weird Al fan community. I know a couple of you were asking for autographs earlier. He will sign them after the show, $5.
Happy to, for free. No,
Well, you have to pay me $5 for him to sign.
you have to pay me $5 for him not to sign.
Yes. It's very lucrative.
So Ethan is one of the biggest Weird Al fans that I know. He is a stand-up comedian. He's been on the Howard Stern show, and he is one of my closest personal friends. Please, let's hear it for Ethan Altman.
Thank you. So this guy, Dave, he's known for many reasons in the Al community. When you're really deep into Weird Al, you don't call him Weird Al, you just call him Al. So if we say Al, that's what we mean. I first learned about Dave when I was a child, and he has tattoos on his legs of Weird Al and his bandmates and their faces, tattoos. Maybe you should show us. Maybe you should show them your tattoos.
Show my tattoo.
Because I remember, like, 14-year-old me saw him at a show and, like, went over and took pictures with my flip phone of his legs. And It's kind of a weird thing for your parents to find that on your cell phone. Pictures of a grown man's hairy legs. But what's really amazing is about over a decade ago, Dave was in Los Angeles walking down the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he noticed that there was no star for Weird Al. So he started a campaign with his friend Vicky, and they raised $40,000, and they got Al the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Yeah. Which is so incredible. Did I miss anything? Oh, Dave also, so Weird Al's personal archivist is his drummer, John Bermuda Schwartz. Outside of John Bermuda Schwartz, who has the official collection, Dave has the biggest collection of Weird Al memorabilia, as far as we know. There could be like some mole man with some cool stuff somewhere.
My wife can confirm that it's on the second floor of our house, and it's spilling out of my room and going down the hallway, and it's a pretty big collection.
We've got a great sponsor for Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. And this is Burrito Burrito, based in Troy, New York, the best vegan Mexican food in the world. And when we decided to do this event, Dave and I were thinking we had to have Twinkie Wiener sandwiches available at the show. But we know that Al is a vegan vegetarian, and we said, well, we know these amazing guys, so they took the challenge, and they actually made vegan Twinkie Wiener sandwiches, maybe for the first time in the world. I've never seen a vegan Twinkie.
I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Against all odds, they did it. So I think maybe we can share one with Jonah once
I like
it comes out.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, there's this guy Jonah. What's his Jonah?
Jonah Ray.
Jonah Ray. Oh yeah. He's here, and we want to bring him out. But we have a cool video we want to show you first. If you guys are not familiar, Jonah, of course, is an amazing stand-up comedian, actor, host. He had TV shows. He recently came out with an album of all Weird Al covers, so punk songs with Weird Al music. And we want to show you a video of one of those, and then we'll bring him out.
Please, cause Frank's the one in charge, and he decides what everybody sees. The picture's crystal clear, everything's magnified. Round Nero's moral has gotta be 10 feet wide. Oh, everybody in the town can hear those 90,000 watts of Dolby sound. And I'm mighty proud to say, now I can watch The Simpsons from 30 blocks away on Frank's 2000-inch TV.
Hey, that song, Frank's 2000-inch TV, sounds a lot like our podcast name.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. Al must have stolen our idea.
I think he did. Well, this guy, he is the current host of Mystery Science Theater 3000. Let's hear it for Jonah Ray!
Hello. Hi. Thanks for coming out. I had nothing to do with the movie. But I did get to put myself in it. Just like I willed my way into being in my favorite TV show, Mystery Science Theater, so I forced my way into UHF too, with computers.
Is that how you did it?
Yeah, computers, RAMs,
Internets?
Yes.
Was there any time travel involved?
There was some time travel. Well, okay. I mean, I traveled through time, but at the same amount of time. Like, I was going 60 seconds per minute. That's how fast through time I was traveling.
Radical.
Yeah.
Very good. That's amazing. Jonah, thank you so much for coming out all the way to Schenectady, New York.
Yes.
To Proctors. It came from Schenectady. How cool is that?
Not just a Charlie Kaufman movie.
Not anymore. So, let's talk about that video. So you used computers, you used time travel.
Yes.
You know, where
Guys,
did...
buckle up. This is a technical conversation.
Yeah. Might go over your heads a little bit.
Yeah, I mean...
How do you do that?
Well, so I put out, I made the first video for the first single off the EP, which is called You Can't Call Me Al, and I did Amish Paradise, and then that was one of those things where it's I was like, oh, I should make a video, so I, within a day, I got a bunch of friends together, and we, shot a video, and then my friend Josh Forbes, who I've been kind of working on a movie with, kind of off and on writing something, he's we just got kind of tired of just, writing. He's like, I want to make a video for one of the Weird Al songs. And so he's like, I want to do Frank's, and I want to do it putting you in UHF. And so we kind of broke down our favorite moments, and then shot it specifically on a green screen, at our friend's place, put up a green, sheet and just kind of did
Very
it really.
technical.
Everyone just kind of did it for fun, and just kind of did it ourselves as a kick. And so yeah, and he finished that thing. We shot that thing on a Wednesday, and he had a couple people working on the effects and the editing on Thursday, and then it came out on a Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, we did there was a tight turnaround on that one.
We've heard that the actual UHF film was a pretty tight turnaround, so I'm sure you were inspired by Al to do that.
I'm inspired by Al every day of my life. He's an incredible, awesome guy, and he's nice, and he's really funny, and no one says anything bad about him. Can't say that about me.
Yeah, we do throw a lot of shade towards Jonah on our podcast when he's not on, so.
I could take it. I'm tough.
So this album, You Can't Call Me Al, it was available on 12-inch EP. And you had two pressing of it. The first one, 500 records, sold out, instantly.
Yeah, within a day and a half, 500 copies of the vinyl sold, which was crazy. And I didn't really expect that. And so we, even the guy at the record label who put it out was even he's like, oh, that's a surprise. I thought this would sell nothing. I'm like, yeah, me too. And so, yeah, we were able to do the second pressing, which is nice. And it's fun, it's the whole thing, the whole idea of it was just to have fun and celebrate Al and just to goof off. When you start to get into comedy as your career or any kind of entertainment stuff, it's it becomes a job, and you're kind of worn down by the things you get to do or not get to do, or who's doing what. And I just wanted something that I could just do for fun with my friends that didn't have to be anything more than what it was. And so it was really cool that people responded to it and bought the record and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to deflate the ego at all, but Dave and I did buy all 500.
Okay. Yeah.
For the collection.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I mean, I still made the money, so.
Oh yeah.
All right, so besides Frank's 2,000-inch TV on that album, you have Dare to Be Stupid, you have Amish Paradise, and you have Eat It, and you have an original song.
Well, technically, not really. It's I did on the first episode I did of Mystery Science Theater, we did a movie called Reptilicus,
right.
And in it we had a rap called Every Country Has a Monster. Yeah. And it was a lot of layers, and it was written by me and the head writer Elliot Kalin, who does a great podcast called Flophouse, and then and then Joel Hodgson helped write the lyrics, and then Paul and Storm kind of put the whole thing together. Those guys are really great, funny musicians, and so and then that was just one of those things where it's I like just kind of sitting around playing guitar, and I like singing, so it's just I had to learn all those lines and all those things. So I was like, well, I can't.
It's a super complicated song. How do you learn something with that many?
I don't know. Well, it's I would just I just over and over and over again, just just Reptilicus is Silly Buddy really illustrates a great array of monsters all over the place. Just having to, and it's in my brain for the rest of my life, which is.
Well, should we play it tonight?
We could, yeah, we could do that.
I don't know if anybody would want to hear. I would want to hear it.
Yeah.
I think I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Okay.
When do we want? I don't know.
We'll do it.
We'll save it. We'll save it.
All right, so
this is like VH1 Storytellers, where it's well, that's the story of Reptilicus, and then I play the song, and I go, yeah, we were on a lot of drugs back then. I don't know why my VH1 Storytellers is just Neil Diamond. Wow, we were crazy.
Well, yeah. Let's roll back all the way. how did you get born? You know what? No,
There's children here, Ethan.
no. How did you first get into Weird Al?
UHF I think was the thing that's That's like we didn't have cable, so I didn't have MTV, so I didn't see any of that stuff. And then when I saw the trailer for UHF, I really wanted to go see it. And because I was like really into watching like comedy, I had like tapes of Monty Python and SCTV and stuff like that my uncle gave me, and I was like, this looks like an SCTV movie, just people running a show. And then so saw it and like went and bought Even Worse, and and I was that was the first one I kind of bought, and then shortly after that, Off the Deep End came out. And
then you went off the deep end.
I went off the deep end. I just became a dedicated Weird Al fan, and I was also like scared. I was one of the only people I knew that was way into him, and I didn't keep it a secret. I was very proud of it. I would go to school and wear like a Bad Hair Day shirt, stuff like that, and it's just one of those things where it's like I remember even like I would write a letter, like a fan letter, and I had a plan to send it to the close personal friends of Al thing, and then like I remember like putting it in the envelope, getting the stamp on it, going over to my mailbox and going, no, I don't want to seem too eager. I'm going to play it cool. And I'm like 11 years old. I'm going to play it cool. And, like maybe one day, I blew it the first time I met Al. I was working at a record store, Amoeba Records in Hollywood.
Cool.
And he came in, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna talk to Weird Al. This is it. So I had an opportunity earlier. Like when I first moved to Los Angeles, I went and saw Ben Folds perform at a bowling alley. It was like a secret show where if you pre-bought his album, you can. And then like Ben Folds like starts to play one of his songs from Ben Folds 5, and then he's like, "We got a new singer for this one." Some guy with like long hair comes on stage, and then he whips his hair back, and it was Weird Al. And I was like, "Los Angeles is the greatest city on earth." I was like, "This must happen every night." Wow. And so like, yeah, it was like crazy, like poo, pee, pew, cry, but then like he was outside just like talking with someone, a friend of his, like outside of the bowling alley that the show was at, and like I was like, no, not yet. And then when I was working at Amoeba, I'd already started doing comedy, and kind of had I felt a little okay with like my place, and also I'm like a record store clerk, so that's cool too because Al's there, he's shopping, and so I take my 15-minute break, so technically I got paid to meet Weird Al. And I go up to him and I go, I was like, play it cool. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, Mr. Yankovic. and he turns around and like I remember just one of those things where that comes out of your mouth. You go, Mr. Yankovic, oh, stupid. And then he turns around, he's like, hey, I was like, hey, I'm Jonah, I work here. I just want to say I'm a really big fan. I played music growing up, and I loved your stuff, and I'm in comedy. I do comedy now. I work here, but I do comedy, and I'm hoping it's my career. I don't know. Anyway, I put, once, for the first crush I ever had, I made a mixtape for a girl and put Frank's 2000-inch TV on the tape. And for the younger kids here, a mixtape is something you did when you were sad and alone. You gave it to a girl, then she would play it for the guy she had a crush on, and then that guy would go, I think this guy likes you. He's like, no, we're just friends. And then you're walking down the street and your heart hurts for some reason. You don't know why. So I tell him, I was like, yeah, I put Frank's 2000-inch on a mixtape, and like he's like, right on, man. And then I was like, and that was the moment I feared. That was the exact moment, like hey, and then that lull of like, oh no, we're not friends. And then like he's like, this is my wife, Suzanne, and like it's just like the worst, like nerdy dude. I was just like, hi, and then. And then, like, a few years later, I'm writing on a show, a TV show, and he comes in to do a sketch for it, and I am in charge of writing the sketch and directing it and stuff like that. But when he came in, he said, "Oh, hi, I'm Al." I was like, "Oh, hi, I'm Jonah." He's like, "We never met before, have we?" I said, "No, we have not."
So you could have done that after, when you met him in Amoeba, you could have already sent that 11-year-old letter, and you could have just pretended that didn't happen.
What if I just pulled it out? It was all like wadded up, and it was like
in your wallet.
And damp. It's like he's like, why is this damp? I was like, I've been meaning to give this to you. But yeah, you know, it's like I've just been kind of obsessed with him. Like for me, when I was growing up, comedy was everything. You know, like I just loved comedy. So it's like I loved music and I loved movies. And so, you know, like it's like I got to like have like a comedy version of the music I liked, which was Weird Al, and I got to have a comedy version of the weird old movies I like to watch, which was Mystery Science Theater. And you know, so it's like I kind of like just, you know, to me Al is just as, you know, good as you know, SCTV or Monty Python or Mr. Show, any of that stuff, you know. Is that it?
That's it.
All right, let's
You guys are on fire today.
No, but you brought up that Weird Al was on The Meltdown, and he performed Dare to Be Stupid. Can you tell us how that came about?
Yeah, so I had a show with my friend Kumail Nanjiani, who you might recognize either from Silicon Valley or Weightlifting Magazine. And yeah, he's got such a... He sent me, but my friend Kumail, who played Dinesh in Silicon Valley, and he was in, you know, Stuber. And, but it's like he got really into shape because he got in a Marvel movie, and he was like sending me like pictures of his body, and I was like, our friendship's taking a weird turn. He's like, well, what are you up to? I was like, no, I'm going to go show UHF in upstate New York. But we had a show with Emily Gordon, his wife, as she produced it. Like it was like a live stand-up show called The Meltdown, and we had that's the amount of people that watched it. So
They're all here.
Yeah, exactly. We had this. It was a stand-up show that we had that was live, and then Comedy Central gave us 3 seasons, and like we just brought cameras into it was in the back of a comic book store called The Meltdown, and it was a lot of fun. And so like it's like, you know, we all kind of got to pick and kind of pitch ideas of who we wanted on the show, and I was like, we got to have Weird Al do something. And then so I emailed him. I was just like, he's like, well, what would I do though? Because he's like, he doesn't really do stand-up. He doesn't really. I'm not sure if he feels comfortable like doing kind of thing that would lead into improv, because he's like, I'm not like quick enough for like just, you know, like do an improv thing. And I was like, all right, here's some ideas. Like one, we can get like an all-star punk rock band, like, you know, people from like Bad Religion and Green Day, and then we can do a version of Happy Birthday. And it's to me, it was like the idea of when the band Fear, John Belushi went back to SNL after he had left, and he came back and he's like, I'll host the show if this band Fear could play as the band on SNL. And then a bunch of kids showed up to like mosh during Fear and then destroyed the set. And I was like, we'll do that with your song. And he's like, okay, what else? I was like, we can do Dare to Be Stupid, but we can get Mark Mothersbaugh to like come out and just press play on the backing track. And he's like, that's a really funny idea. So and then I had to start doing the work of like trying to get a hold of Mark Mothersbaugh, who's from Devo, and like, you know, it's the song that's, you know, kind of parodying, and so like it's like we got a response. He's like, oh, I don't know if I'm around, maybe, and like it was this kind of thing. And then Al just like texts me after the email comes, and he's like, that sounds like a very polite go screw yourselves. And I was like, yeah, and like I was like, I don't know, maybe do something like something acoustically or that. And he's like, you know what? I always wanted to try to do this thing where it was like get like a quartet of strings and then do a version of a song. And he's like, what song should I do? I was like, well, you should do Dare to Be Stupid. This is my favorite one. And like he's like, yeah. And so we got a quartet for him, and they learned the song, and then he sang it on our show. And there's a shot of me, because like we showed backstage stuff while the show was going on, and there's like a shot of me kind of singing along, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's like tears in my eyes.
Amazing.
It's one of those crazy moments in a career where it's like you're like, how did I get here? And like, why is this allowed? You know, I'm not helping anybody. Just helping myself. But so that was really neat. And so I like to think that because of that, that's where he felt the confidence to do the With Strings tour. So if anyone saw that tour, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for doing that for us.
Yeah, but that's like I've gotten to work with him like 3 times now, or 4 times really. Like I was in that Weird trailer thing. I was
Yes.
I had him on my show, Hidden America, and like, you know, it's like it was just kind of fun to like, you know, casually kind of know him now, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
That is insane. So I know you've spent some time with Al. I know he has sanctioned the punk covers.
Yeah, he like it's like I told him I was doing it. He's like, that sounds great, man. Send it to me when you're done. So I sent him the MP3s, and he's like, these are fun. And then like the guy from the label said he's like, hey, Weird Al just paid for and bought the record. And I was like, right on. I would have given it to him for free, but he never mentioned it. He didn't mention that he bought it. He didn't post anything. Like he posted like the link to the videos and stuff like that. But then I messaged him saying like, oh, I'm gonna go see your show at the Greek Theater, and he says, oh, I would have put you on the list. I was like, well, I would have given you a record for free. He's like, well, here we are.
I want to talk about UHF. UHF was your gateway drug into Al. Did you see UHF in theaters?
Yes, I saw it in the theater. I saw it 2 times in the theater. I would have saw it a third time, but a friend of mine, my friend Donald, and we got into like comedy and music and punk together. He thought that the movie starring Yahoo Serious called Young Einstein was better than UHF, and we literally got into a fist fight. It's like 2 6-year-old kids where it's like, you know, that thing.
Standing ovation for that.
But it's just one of those like weird things where you're a kid and it's like you're upset because your friend doesn't agree with you and you don't know what to do with all these emotions and like you're just like, no, you're dumb, you don't get it. And then we actually started going at each other like just because he thought that Young Einstein was better. Young Einstein. Yahoo Serious. I mean, it's not that bad. It's a fun movie, but it's not UHF.
It's not UHF. We're not screening Young Einstein.
Yeah, we're not screening Young Einstein. No one's screening Young Einstein. Not even Yahoo Serious is screening Young Einstein.
Do we have anyone in the audience who was actually at a UHF when it was in theaters? A couple people. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
That's how you heard all the creaky elbows go up. I did.
I like to think that I was at least conceived by the time it was in
theaters. There are children here, Ethan.
I'm a child. I didn't get to see it. Yeah. It came out before my birth.
You're so young. It really upsets me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I actually got to interview Al about it at Comic-Con once. It's on the Blu-ray for this. We can just watch that instead of this. Right? More man. You know.
So I did want to ask, also in the vein of UHF, there's kind of like this thing in the Al community where some people are like, we want another Weird Al movie, we want something different, but there is another faction of people who are like, we want UHF too. Where do you fall in this faction? If we could get another Weird Al movie.
Well, I kind of soft pitched him years ago an idea for a sequel.
Really?
Yeah. Where I was like, okay, imagine it's UHF 2, but we call it like UHF.com, and it's a movie where he's become the RJ. It's like he's lost his way of like being creative and positive, and he's like become the curmudgeon, head of this network, and he doesn't remember all the passion he used to have. And then I play a young upstart in the digital department of the network, and I go, we should start doing crazy web videos. He's like, no, and then it's a fight, and then I show him the magic of like weirdness, and then he comes around. That was what I pitched him. So I'd say it's not a good idea to do a sequel. But yeah, I don't know. It's so funny when you say Al community, because that's something that like from hanging out with you this weekend. Does anyone here know that there's an Al community? How many people were kind of thrown off by the phrase Al community? Yeah, and it's fun, it's exciting, but like it's like a kid that got into it on my own. I was like, where the hell were all of you when I was getting teased for wearing my T-shirts? But yeah, it's very fascinating, and you guys are a big part of it. You guys are stars in the world of Al.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Yeah. You guys are like the most famous fans of Fish.
Well, Dave's the most famous. Like, people will come up to me and be like, hey, can I get a picture? Yeah. And we're like, yeah, sure. And they hand me the camera.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Dave's the wavy gravy of. Someone here someone's here that went to how many? Like 350 or is it? Oh, there he is. How many? 351 Weird Al shows that guy went to.
World record, as far as anyone knows.
World record.
Yes.
I'd
live
imagine
shows.
the guys in the band have been to more.
That's true. That's true.
They've been to 352.
Yeah.
All right, so before we move on to some other TV show that we're all familiar with, one of my wife and I, one of our favorite TV shows is Drunk History.
Oh, yeah. Drunk History on Comedy Central. Derek Waters.
So you were on an episode of Drunk History, and you did James Cook. Can
Yes.
you tell us a little bit about how that episode came about?
Well, I've been friends with Derek Waters, who came up. Him and Jeremy Connor came up with Drunk History, and they, I've known them for years in the comedy community, and they did the first season, and then they for the second season, they're like, oh, we want to do a Hawaii episode. And I was born and raised in Hawaii, so they're like, oh, we really want you to be a narrator for the one of the stories in the Hawaii episode. And so they approached me, and the other people doing the narration were other white dudes, and then they said what would you want to do, the James Cook discovering, quote unquote, the islands? And I was kind of like yeah, but I want to really do the research right, and so they gave me research, but it was all very British-based research, so it was very much this amazing captain came across this heathen land, and I was like this does not taste good. And so what I did is you really want to research the story and become very familiar with it. So I called a friend of mine who works at University of Hawaii, and I got in touch with somebody that runs the Hawaiian history department, and just kind of talked about the Hawaiian perspective of the story of Captain Cook coming, and basically Captain Cook showed up at the time of where there was it was the Feast of Lono, which was a very celebratory thing, and Lono is a sea god of the sea, and so when Captain Cook showed up on that day, they're like, oh, this is a friend of Lono's, so he's kind of a god. And Captain Cook took that and ran with it, and started taking stuff that wasn't theirs, and kind of and then it ended in, of course, someone being a lot of people being killed. Anyway, but I wanted to have it be very much from the perspective. So I did all the research, and it was fun. It was neat to have friends of mine like Ken Marino from the state and Eugene Cordero, who's in Kong Skull Island and stuff like that. To have them be in the reenactments was a lot of fun. And also, it's it's a lot of people online said I wasn't drunk. I wasn't really that drunk. But what happens when I get drunk is the more I get drunk, the more I white knuckle control. So it's I don't start to get too sloppy. It's the more drunk I get, I'll start talking very specifically in the fear of slurring at all. And if you look I'm holding on to the chair to balance myself. But that was a lot of fun.
We got a couple questions from the audience asking, is Hidden America coming back?
No, I mean, as far as I know, Hidden America was a travel parody show I did. It was basically a Bourdain parody sketch show kind of thing. It was, almost kind of my way of kind of doing Mr. Show or SCTV or even UHF, where it's UHF is kind of it's a sketch movie. It's they have this storyline, but there's all these parodies and sketches within it that was kind of my take on. We even had Anthony Bourdain on an episode, which was really fun. We did it for a company called CISO. And then, that's the amount of people. So we did 2 seasons, and it's for free on vrv.co and whatever. But I like the idea is that I wouldn't probably do another season. The 3rd season idea for Hidden America was a documentary about Hidden America trying to do Hidden South America, and all the things that went wrong about this show, just not doing the research to try and shoot, and then getting kidnapped, and so kind of pull back the parody one step more. Yeah.
Now, Hidden America is very significant to Al fans, especially because there is not one but 2 connections to Al and the Al universe.
What's the second one? The one he's in the LA episode,
right?
Where it's the
in the Hawaii episode.
He's in the Hawaii episode.
You told me Jim West.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So
I'll just answer your question.
Yeah. One of the things we do, it's like we do like a fake, like when we come back, we do this, before a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to drive around like with Native Angelino, Weird Al, and like it's like we're just stuck in traffic. And he's just kind of starting to get like upset. He's like, how far is this place? I was like, 'cause there's a lot of traffic. And then I start kind of going like, it's like, traffic, it's a guess, bumper to bumper. And then he jumps out of the car. And then the other one we had for the Hawaii episode in the second season, we needed some slack key Hawaiian style guitar. And so we had Jim Chemo West do some of, he gave us some tracks of his guitar.
Al's
stuff.
longtime guitarist.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was really nice.
Love it.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast has a Jim Chemo West connection as well.
Nice.
He did our theme song.
Yay!
Yeah. It's not slack key though. It's just rock.
Like a heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
Hardcore rock. All right, so there's this little TV show that some people may have heard of called Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yes. I, too, am a fan.
All right.
Was that it?
That's it. I just want to see how many people heard of it.
Yeah.
Is anybody here?
Anybody heard of it? Yeah. So my understanding is that actually began as on a UHF station in Minneapolis.
Yeah, KTMA, which was the local regional station in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And they did a couple seasons there, and then they sold it to the Comedy Channel, and the Comedy Channel combined with the Ha Channel, and then that became Comedy Central, and then they were on Comedy Central for a while, then they got canceled, and then they went to Sci-Fi for a while, and got canceled, and then they went over to Netflix about 20 years later, and got canceled. So I'm proud to be of a nice history nice history of getting that show canceled. But yeah, I mean, it's like a literal dream come true. Like that's like one of my first meetings when I went to LA, like where I was like doing stand up and improv, and then I got a meeting with some agents, and then they're like, "What would the Jonah Ray show be?" That's what they had. They was like, "What would you do if you had a show?" And I was like, "Well," and this is like in 2003 or 4. I was like, "Well, we should bring back Mystery Science Theater, and I should be the host of it." And then they laughed at me, which I found to be very unprofessional in a meeting. They're like, "That's not going to happen, idiot." And then little did they know, nostalgia was going to mean big bucks. And then but there's the tours going on right now still, and so I'm very stoked to do it. Yeah,
That's so cool. We actually we have a couple questions from the audience about Mystery Science Theater.
cool.
Which is your favorite co-host puppet?
Oh, I'm a crow guy. Yeah, I was gonna try. Yeah, I was gonna try and be like like it's like kind of middle of the road and go Cambot. And everyone's like, no one likes Cambot. No one likes Cambot. But like, yeah, it's Crow is my favorite, and that's like getting to like actually cast Hampton Yount, who was one of my favorite comics and a good old friend of mine. But like seeing his comedy over the years before we even got to do Mystery Science Theater, I was like, this guy reminds me of Crow, where he's just like crazy and you think he's gonna kill you. And that's like Crow to me, where he's like I want to decide who lives and dies. You know, it's like Hampton always like reflected that for me, and so yeah, I'm a real Crow guy. He's crazy. Yeah.
All right, and this is a two-part question, or more like a one-part question, one-part statement with a question mark at the end of it.
More of a question and comment.
Have you ever heard of the movie The Stuff?
Yes, The Stuff. That's a Larry Cohen movie, I believe, right? The Stuff is great. If you guys have never seen it, it's Larry Cohen, and it's very funny and very weird, and it came out in the 80s. And it's incredible because it's really about, like, it's around the same time I think John Carpenter did They Live, and so it was all these kind of horror director guys like talking about like capitalism and advertising and its effect on us, and then the stuff was about like it's just like this stuff comes out and like it's like this company finds this like secretion that like came out, and they like out of like a meteor that hit the earth, and then they taste it and they're like, oh, this is really good, and then like everyone starts losing weight when they eat it, so they put it out, mass market it, and then it just starts like making people become all like soft and then they become monsters. You know, it's a bonkers movie. Anyone here go see Color Out of Space when it played here? Oh, isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's supreme Nick Cage. You guys want to see Nick Cage being real Nick Cage? But yeah, The Stuff. It was that's a fantastic movie. I say you should watch it. It's a good fun movie night. Yeah.
Okay. and the rest of the question or statement is, please make riff track.
Oh, well, no. No. It would be good, but it's funny because sometimes it's really a generational thing because like someone, and I know a lot of people are gonna be kind of like what, but like someone tweeted me, they're like, I just saw this crazy weird movie with these like little like green monster guys, like it's like you gotta riff on it. It's so dumb. And I was like, what was the movie? And they said, I was thinking they were saying like going to say like Munchies or Ghoulies or Critters or something like that. And she said, she responded, she's like, it was called Gremlins. I was like, you want me to riff on Gremlins? How dare you? I'd quicker riff on Schindler's List.
What is the general criteria for deciding on what is going to be riffed?
It's got to be a swing. These movies have to go for it, and it also like is a rhythm thing, like where it's like you need space. They really have to try because if they're not trying, everyone says like, oh, Sharknado and those kinds of sci-fi movies, but those are meant to be bad, and that's just like that's terrible. And some of these movies like were meant to be great, like Mac and Me, which we did in the second season. Like Mac and Me, that's just capitalism, the movie. It's like I used to think it was paid for by McDonald's because McDonald's is a central point in the movie. But it turns out it wasn't paid for by McDonald's. It was paid for by the beef company that gave McDonald's their beef. And so it's like to me, it's such an attack on like any kind of art. Like people are trying to make movies, people are killing themselves to make movies, and then you just have these oligarchs of beef coming in,
Big beef
coming in and just going like, well, I want to sell more of this beef. Let's make a movie about it. And it just to me it feels like it's like let's pretend we're artists. And it's like essentially it's like an undercover cop going, hey kids, you like E.T.? What about this? And the kid does it's like, I don't know about the movie, but I really feel like getting some fries right now.
Now, do you ever hear any feedback from the original filmmakers?
I was at a convention, not any of the filmmakers in my experience. Some of the original guys have heard from some of the filmmakers, but I was at a convention in Florida, and then some lady, she asked a question. She's like, hey, do you recognize me? And as a guy, that's a scary question to hear in front of a bunch of people. I was like, no, I'm sorry. Should I? I don't know. I'm sorry. And then she's like, and she said like a line. She's like, we got to pull it up on the screen. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening right now, and I'm getting uncomfortable. She's like, I was in Atlantic Rim, which is a movie we did, which was essentially the movie is not Pacific Rim. That's literally, if you get the box, the DVD, you turn it around, and it says like, what's this movie about? It just says not Pacific Rim. And she's like, I was in Atlantic Rim, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, because we were pretty terrible to her. And she's like, no, I love it. All my friends, like, people finally saw the movie I was in.
Now, is there a line that you draw when you're?
Well, you don't want to be nasty. They're trying their best. We're trying our best. I did a podcast with Joe Dante, who directed a ton of great movies. Some of my favorite movies. Gremlins being one of them, and Matinee. He's an incredible director, but he hates Mystery Science Theater 3000, and I found that out moments before I was about to record a podcast with him. I was invited on a podcast, and the guy, his co-host, goes, oh, just to let you know, Joe hates Mystery Science Theater. And I was like, oh no, that's me. And so we sit down, and he just starts going, I don't get it. It's like you guys always use these terrible prints of movies, and you edit them down for the commercials. I was like, real quick, I wasn't a part of that. I'm just a guy on it. And he's like, it's hard to make movies. And I go, yeah, it is. And I've made movies, and it's really hard to do anything. And it's like you have a ton of self-doubt all the time. But for me, these movies are fun. I love watching these movies, and it's like we try not to be nasty. We just try to play with them. We just try to collaborate with the movie and almost kind of do a collage of jokes and pop culture references and songs along with the movie, and give the movie a second life. No one would ever know what Manos Hands of Fate ever was. And in all honesty, they shouldn't. But it's like, sometimes sometimes it's just easier to to watch a movie with your friends, and that's kind of how I think Mystery Science Theater. It was always that for me,
Right.
It's a nice lonely boy show to watch.
No, a lot of people we talk to, so on our podcast, we interview people associated with Al. We've had you on. We've talked to.
When was that? Just now?
Just now,
Yeah,
right
okay,
now,
great.
right now, right. We had John Dupre, the composer of UHF. We've had everyone up and including Weird Al's personal hairstylist on the podcast to talk about Al. And when we talk to people who are connected to Al and they were started as fans by Al, a common thing we hear is like, the first thing I ever spent my real money on musically was I bought Weird Al. Like that was like their coming into adulthood was spending their money on Weird Al. Do you have any kind of experiences like that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, completely honest, the first album I ever bought, the first cassette tape I ever bought with my own money was "Crushin'" by the Fat Boys, because I saw the movie Disorderlies and I loved it. I could see I'm alone. But very funny movie. The trio, the Fat Boys, the rap group, they become orderlies for a rich, sick old man, and they get into some crazy stuff. So I remember saving up for the Weird Al box set, permanent record, Al in the Box.
Yeah.
And I remember I was saving up for it, and I was going to go buy it, so I rode my bike into town to go to the record store, bought it, got made fun of by the guys that worked at the record store, and I remember I had it in a plastic bag, and I was riding my bike home, and there was a bridge I had to cross, to get home, and the bag was, it was a long box like this and real thick, and there was these slats in the side of the bridge going over a canal, and I started going over it, and then the box went into the slats on the side, and it caught, and then it pulled me over, and then I swung over the banister and I was hanging off, and it wasn't a huge drop, but the water was real gross. They were always pulling dead boars out of this water. It's just it was so gross and disgusting, and it smelled, and it was this, and I was holding on to it, and I remember I had the bag of the box, and just trying not to drop the box into the dirty butt water. And it's I raked I fractured my pinky because when I fell over, and then I was embarrassed by because people saw it and laughed at me and didn't help. And then I got home and I went and just listened to the whole thing over and over and over again. So it's
Was it okay?
My finger or the
No. Al in the Box. Was Al in the Box okay?
It's okay. Oh, the thing. Oh, yeah. The box itself was bent in half, but none of the CDs or
that's expensive. I mean, that's if you're gonna be a kid buying something, that's
$45.
expensive. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
And back in those days, that's what $100 now.
I don't know the math, Ethan. We have fun.
We do. I think we should we need to hear about, what is your favorite moment in UHF? What are you going to be looking for when we hit play?
I love anything with Michael Richards. He's so brilliant and physical in it, and I think he's amazing. And yeah, I think anything that Michael Richards does, Stanley Spadowski, is just so funny and weird, and he's just so specific. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to celebrate him or Victoria Jackson at this point. Joel Hodgson was offered, the guy who was the first host of Mystery Science Theater and the creator of the show. He was offered the role of Philo.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what is it like working with Joel?
It's great. It's he's Joel. He's weird and you kind of it's every time you he'll do weird stuff where he'll explain something to you, and he'll be like, man, we're going to do this thing where it kind of swoops around and gets kind of silly. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. So it's basically he's a guy that's he'll bring you a brick or a cube of marble, and he'll be like, here it is. And you're like, I don't know what that is. He's like, oh my God, hold on. And he chisels away at it, and you're like, I think I get the idea. He's like, oh, geez, here we go. And he does it, and they're like, oh, that's what you meant. After, and that's 2 months of working with him.
It's amazing. I mean, before we start, I think the audience would love to hear Reptilicus.
Sure, yeah, I could do that.
Is that the consensus? Well, Jonah grabs the guitar. So our featured drink tonight is Yankaritas. And Dave, do you want to give us the background on Yankaritas? We learned about these last year when we were interviewing Dave Bowe.
Yeah, David Bowe. He played Bobo in the movie you're about to see. I don't want to give away any spoilers. But yeah, we were talking to him, and apparently him and Al and the whole crew of the UHF, they had a big party at the wrap-up of the movie, and Al was making these drinks, and Dave was like, "These are really good. What is this?" And basically, Al's like, "This is a Yankarita." So we asked.
Yeah, we said, what's in a
Yankarita?
Yankarita?
And he wasn't sure. So we had the opportunity. We were fortunate enough to talk to Weird Al. And of course, the first question we asked him, what is in a Yankarita?
And he said, it's a margarita that you call a Yankarita.
We were expecting something a little more.
Yeah.
You know, like squirt some Twinkies in.
Gross.
While you're playing that, we should get some Twinkies and we should cheers and have Twinkie Wiener sandwiches.
Sure, if you need to take a pee break while I'm playing, go for it too.
Don't mind if I do.
All right.
Reptilicus is silly, but he really illustrates the great array of monsters all over the place. Not just in Japan, but across the planet. An A to Z gamut of gargantuan handedly. Example, please name a land, Belize. Easy peasy, maze, amazing. You could tell, you could meet El Cadejo. Belize, they believe it or they're not afraid to say so. In Scotland, Desi's living up in a lot. And in Poland, a scary scarecrow never mocked. See, it's not just Godzilla. There's a lot that can kill ya. 'Cause every country's got a monster, and every monster's got a country. What turned the musketeers' guts to spaghetti? Was it in Tibet? Well, I bet they met a Yeti. Australia, their drop bears will impale ya. Then they'll sell you Heltersy paraphernalia. Chupacabras chewing up cattle down in Mexico. And Delgees, hornets scoring battle in the Navajo. Congo's Kangamato is a mongrel flying dino. I don't wanna die, but when I do it, I'll be the guy. Oh, 'cause every country's got a monster. Leprechaun. Every country's got a station they call their leprechaun. Every country's got a monster. Leprechaun. Every monster's got a station they call their home. Killer shrews in the Lugaroo. Baba Yaga's your guru in the Ipadulu. Now you guys realize the surprising size of all the worldwide Daikaiju, don't you? Every country's got a monster. Leprechaun. And every monster's got a station they call their home. Leprechaun. And every monster's got a country. Leprechaun. And every monster's got a station they call their home. Leprechaun. Thank you guys so much.
We've got the vegan Twinkie Wiener sandwiches. Are you ready to do it, Jonah?
Of course not.
Have you ever had a Twinkie Wiener sandwich?
No.
Really?
It seemed like a bad idea.
Yeah.
But I've always thought about it, and here's the thing. In the movie, you start to hear the song UHF. He starts to make it, which is a Twinkie, and then he puts a wiener in it, and then he covers it in Cheese Whiz, and then he dunks it in milk.
I personally asked Al about whether or not dunking in milk was something that we needed to do, and he said it was purely optional, but a fan of our caliber, it is required.
Okay, here we go.
Right?
Goodbye.
So now that you've tried your first Twinkie Wiener sandwich, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. It's there's notes of sweet and savory. My heart is slowing down, stopping. Call for help, please. Not joking. No. It's not so bad. I wouldn't recommend dunking it in milk.
No. Too bad we're just such big fans that we have to.
Yeah, you got to do it. Awesome. Well, thank you for this
Of course.
experience.
Thank you, Jonah. Thank you so much for coming out to Schenectady for our screening of UHF.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure to talk to you. And
Excited to watch the movie.
let's watch the movie.
Let's do it. Let's watch UHF.
The reviews are in. Jackie Rossi, what did you think?
I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. I thought the interview you guys did was great. Jonah was wonderful. Warm, fuzzy human being.
What was your favorite moment?
I actually really liked it when you guys ate the vegan Twinkie Wiener sandwiches, which I will just say right now, those are better than the original version, like by miles. Like I would eat those again happily. I do feel a little bit bad because that was Jonah Ray's first Twinkie Wiener sandwich and he did not appear to have a good experience. So it really can only go down for him from this point.
Let's hear what Johnny O'Hearn thought of the event.
Hey guys, it's Johnny here. Anyways, you guys put together a really special show tonight, and the surrealness of it all, the near 2,000-inch screen, the whole thing where that guy from Mystery something, whatever, 2700 was here. Yeah, great job, guys.
Once again, huge thanks to all of our friends, family, and listeners who came out.
We also want to thank, of course, Jonah Ray, Tom Satilla Lewis, Paul Kazee, plus Brendan, Rob, and the whole ICFS and OSM and Proctors team, including Trevor, our good friends Kathy, Ed, and Evan Conway, and we cannot forget Kate and Jackie.
We have a limited number of those beautiful screen print posters available, first come, first serve, as well as sticker packs. Please get in touch with us ASAP if you want to purchase one.
After our initial run of t-shirts for our podcast launch donors and for Al and the touring team, we've gotten a lot of requests for shirts for those who missed out. So Dave and I are thrilled to be launching a t-shirt store today. There are some really fun designs, and we hope to regularly change around the offerings and add some fun, cool stuff. So be sure to check it out right away. shop.2000inch.com. You are gonna love these.
That's shop.2000inch.com. Be sure to send us pictures of you wearing your brand new t-shirts, or let us know where you hang your posters or stick your stickers or burrito your burritos.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do the burrito ad?
No, it's not time yet. This week's episode brought to you in part by vegan Mexican restaurant Burrito in Troy, New York, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla Burrito. Come on down to Burrito and Burrito your Burrito. Find them at burritosquared.com and at burritosquared on Instagram. And remember, not every burrito is a burrito, but every burrito can be burritoed.
Thanks to our listeners, subscribers, and everyone else who follows us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're at 2000inch. And of course, thanks to those who've joined our Facebook group. And a big extra special thanks to all of our amazing Patreon supporters. If you want to join the Patreon family, head over to patreon.com/2000inch for exclusive clips, early releases, and other fun stuff.
It is a great way for you to support the podcast. We bring you this podcast every single week, absolutely free. If you enjoy it, please go over to patreon.com/2000inch. It helps us pay our bills and helps us keep this podcast absolutely free for everybody,
including our unpaid intern, Frank.
You can find us online at 2000inch.com and make sure to share our posts, tell your friends about the podcast, and leave us messages to play on the air at 347 Spatula. Don't forget to check out our brand new shop at shop.2000inch.com, and remember to use the hashtag 2000inch and hashtag Gill and Chill when you post about us.
Next week, we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Weird Al's career-spanning squeeze box set winning the Grammy for Best Box or Special Limited Edition Package by talking to none other than one of the key figures from Sony behind the set, Mike Duquette.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000inch Weird Al Podcast, episode 40 in.
We're not screening Young Einstein.
Yeah, we're not screening Young
Schenectady,
Einstein.
New
No
York.
one's screening Young Einstein. Not even Yahoo Serious is screening Young Einstein.